All right, let's get right into it. We are standing on the edge of a massive, massive revolution. There's a whole new class of super heavy lift rockets coming online, and they're poised to change, well, pretty much everything. And I'm not just talking about space, I'm talking about right here on Earth. At the heart of all of this, SpaceX's Starship. I mean, just listen to the words military strategists are using here. This isn't just an upgrade. They're calling it a fundamental discontinuity. Think about that. That means a complete, total break from everything that came before. It's like going from propeller planes to jets overnight. This isn't just one step forward. It's a whole new ballgame, and you can be absolutely sure the world's defense departments are watching this very, very closely.
And that's really the big idea we need to wrap our heads around. You know, while we're all mesmerized by these incredible launches and dreaming about cities on Mars, the most immediate, the most powerful impact of this tech is going to be felt right here. It's going to completely reshape global strategy and pretty much redefine what it means to be a superpower in the 21st century.
So, let's break this down. What exactly does this discontinuity look like? And more importantly, who are the main players getting in on the action in this new era of space competition?
Well, in one corner, you've got SpaceX's Starship, which, as we know, is already flying, already testing. And in the other corner, you have China, which has this incredibly ambitious plan for its own fully reusable super heavy lifter, the Long March 9. Right there, you're seeing the stage being set for the next great power space race.
So what is it? What actually makes these rockets so radically different from everything else? Well, it really boils down to three core ideas, three pillars that, when you put them all together, create this almost unbelievable jump in what's possible.
And here they are, the big three. Number one, making the entire rocket, both the booster and the ship, fully, and this is key, rapidly reusable. Number two, a payload capacity so massive it just dwarfs anything we've ever launched before. And number three, the one that ties it all together, a radically, almost ridiculously low cost to get all that stuff into orbit.
This analogy is just perfect for understanding the shift in thinking. I mean, think about it. For decades, every time we launched something, we basically threw the rocket away. It was a one-time, incredibly expensive event. Now we're moving to a model where you operate a whole fleet of spaceships, just like a shipping company runs its container ships. You just refuel and go again. The impact that's going to have on logistics, it's just staggering.
Now, take a look at this leap in what you can actually carry. See that bar for the legendary space shuttle? Yeah, about 27 tons. A modern workhorse like the Falcon 9 is in the same ballpark. But then you look at Starship. In its reusable mode, it's aiming for 150 metric tons. That's not just a bigger number on a chart. It's a completely different reality of what's possible.
But here it is. This is the number that just shatters the entire economic model of space. The goal, the target marginal cost for Starship, is as low as $10 per kilogram to get to orbit. $10. It almost sounds fake, right?
And to give you some perspective on just how insane that is, launching one single kilogram on the space shuttle costs over $54,000. We're talking about a cost reduction of over 99%. That number, that's the magic key. That's what unlocks every single strategic possibility we're about to talk about.
Okay, let's just look at the raw data for a second. You can compare Starship to everything else on this list. The shuttle, Falcon Heavy, even NASA's new SLS. But just let your eyes drift over to that last column, the cost per kilogram. While every other rocket is in the thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars, Starship's target is in the double digits. It's a vehicle operating in a completely different economic universe.
Okay, so we've got the foundation, total reusability, enormous capacity, and dirt cheap costs. So what? How does this actually redefine military power? Well, let's start with something surprisingly close to home, logistics right here on Earth.
Say hello to the rocket cargo program. And no, this is not a sci-fi movie concept. This is a top priority, real-world program for the U.S. Space Force. The goal is as simple as it is breathtaking. Use a Starship to deliver an entire C-17 cargo plane's worth of stuff, that's over 90 metric tons, to any point on the planet in less than 1 hour.
But of course, there's a trade-off, and it's a big one. Starship gives you unbelievable speed, right? It turns a 24-hour journey into maybe 90 minutes tops. But the C-17, that's all about flexibility. It can land at thousands of airfields all over the world. Starship needs a massive, pre-built launch and landing site.
So this isn't a replacement for traditional airlift, it's a brand new tool for those extreme situations where speed is the only thing that counts.
So you might be wondering, how does the military use a commercial rocket for its own sensitive missions? Well, the idea they're floating is this really interesting thing called the gray tail concept. The idea is that the Department of Defense would essentially rent a Starship from SpaceX, maybe paint the tail gray to show it's government property, take temporary legal ownership for that specific mission, and then just give it back. It's a totally new way of thinking about military-industrial partnerships.
Now, let's shift our focus up into orbit, because that's where things get really wild. With this kind of cheap, massive lift, the whole game changes. If your satellites get attacked, who cares? You could just launch a whole new constellation tomorrow. You can design huge, powerful new satellites without worrying about the tyranny of the fairing, that is, whether they'll actually fit inside a rocket. And you can start building a real logistics network in orbit, refueling and repairing satellites, turning them from predictable targets into dynamic, unpredictable assets.
So you take all these technological leaps, you put them together, and what do you get? You get the starting gun firing on a whole new kind of geopolitical competition, one that's probably going to define the rest of this century.
What this all leads to is a fundamental shift in military doctrine. The old way of thinking was all about protecting your few multi-billion-dollar fragile satellites, these exquisite national treasures. The new paradigm? Forget that. Now it's about deploying huge, sprawling networks of cheaper satellites that are so vast and so easy to replace that you can actually afford to lose some in a conflict and just keep on going. It's resilience through numbers.
Right now, as things stand, the U.S. has a pretty significant head start thanks to Starship, and this creates what strategists call a capability gap, a window of time where one side has a major advantage. And what does that do? Well, it puts enormous pressure on competitors, especially China, to pour resources into their own Long March 9 program to close that gap as fast as humanly possible.
And this quote right here, it just nails the new reality. This isn't like the Cold War space race, which was all about prestige and planting a flag. This new race is a gritty, industrial, honest-to-goodness logistics race. It's not about who gets there first. It's about who can move the most stuff to orbit the most often for the least amount of money.
Which brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. For all of human history, military strategy has been obsessed with controlling the high ground. In this new era, where a single rocket system can move an entire army's worth of material into orbit in just a few weeks, does controlling the logistics of space mean you ultimately control the ultimate high ground, and by extension, everything happening down here on Earth? That's the question that's going to shape the next 100 years of global power.